Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Sportscaster and Her Son, where sports bridges the gap between the generations. I'm Peggy Kuzinski, 12-time Emmy Award-winning sportscaster from ESPN Radio in Chicago, host of the Chicago Bears postgame show on the Chicago Bears radio network. And I'm the mom and the baby boomer. And this is my co-host, my son, Jason. Hi, Jason.
How's it going?
Great.
Hey, Mom. It's going well. I am a sportscaster as well, 0-time Emmy Award winner, but that's all right. I'm just getting started out here in Topeka. And, having a good time talking some K-State and everything else that goes on in Kansas. But we're talking Bears today. And more importantly, the Rookie of the Year race, which is becoming really good about a third of the way through the season.
Yeah, that's one of the things I wanted to talk about, Jason, was with the matchup of Caleb Williams and potentially Jayden Daniels with the Washington Commanders. Those are the two top front runners for the Rookie of the Year award through week 7 now into the NFL season. Kind of the halfway point now with 17 games. I don't know, but they're both taken 1 and 2 in the draft. And let's go back to before the draft. Everyone knew that Caleb Williams was going to be the number 1 pick, right? But a lot of people said they thought Jayden Daniels was the better pick. What did you think?
I thought Caleb Williams was the better pick. I watched both of those guys a lot in college, and I like Jayden Daniels a lot, but LSU is a very advantageous school for quarterbacks. Caleb Williams dominated everywhere that he was at, and he was always the more sound pro prospect. He's a year and a half younger than Jayden Daniels is, at least. Daniels played 2 more years than he did in college, and so there's a discrepancy there. And I like Caleb Williams' vision a whole lot better. Jayden Daniels, the real kind of criticism with him early on in his NFL career is that he doesn't look past his first read, or he's quick to leave the pocket when his first read is covered. And that reminds me a lot of Justin Fields. So I will definitely take Caleb Williams over Jayden Daniels, but I'm very impressed by both so far this season.
Really interesting that you just brought that up about looking beyond his first read. I was looking at that same statistic, and the quarterbacks that are least likely to throw on their first read, number 1, who do you think is number 1 in the NFL?
Least likely to throw on their first read?
Yeah.
So look to their second read, or to just leave the
Yeah,
pocket
to
and run?
just doesn't throw on the first read.
Uh,
Well, in the sake of
Justin,
time, I'll tell you, Josh Allen. Josh
I
Allen
gotta
is
think so.
number 1, okay? He reads the field. He goes through his reads. Patrick Mahomes is number 2. Lamar Jackson is 3rd. And Justin Herbert is 4th. Who do you think is 5th?
Ooh, Caleb Williams.
Exactly right. Caleb
Yeah, there you
Williams,
go.
66%. He's in some pretty good company there to be in the top 5 of quarterbacks who are least likely to throw on their first read. So he is definitely developing. From the first 2 and 3 games, when there was a lot of worry in Chicago about Caleb Williams, we are starting to see that kind of progression. On the other hand, though, Jason, Jayden Daniels comes out of the first half of the season looking like not only the offensive rookie of the year, but possibly an MVP candidate as well as a rookie quarterback. It's crazy. He's 4th in the NFL with passer rating. In QBR, he trails only Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. He already has 1,400 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, leads the NFL in completion percentage. He's having an incredible year. And like you mentioned, the number of games that he has played coming into the NFL made him look NFL ready.
Yeah, and he's the guy who's always been surrounded by NFL talent too. Like, he was throwing to Brandon Ayuk at Arizona State and Brian Thomas last year at LSU. Like, he's been throwing to NFL wide receivers for his entire college career. And that's not to take any credit away from him, but when you're surrounded by talent like that and you mesh well with them, the transition to the NFL is going to be a little bit more seamless. And even though we may not see Jayden Daniels on Sunday, we talked in our last episode about why that's probably the better move for this season and honestly for his career to not play on Sunday. But we can pretend like he will. And if he does, it's going to be a really fun show because these are 2 rookie quarterbacks. Like, yeah, we had the 2 games at the start of the season from Caleb that weren't very impressive. But other than that, these 2 guys have looked pretty flawless so far. And I'm really excited to see, when you have 2 forces, moving as fast as possible towards each other, something's got to break. And so I'm excited to see who the better quarterback is on Sunday, as long as they both play.
Well, speaking of is not breaking, bending and not breaking, that is one thing that I think Commanders fans and a lot of viewers of the NFL are watching when it comes to Jayden Daniels. He's a very slight guy. He's thin. And if he can hold up to the NFL defenses, and he's one of the most hit quarterbacks in the NFL so far, he has to stay healthy in order to keep this race between him and Caleb Williams alive. Now, there can always be like a Malik Neighbors and guys like that who can have great second halves of the season as well. But I think that was one of the things about Jayden Daniels that people are now starting to say, he's going to have to stay healthy. But listen, you and I could talk about this as much as we want. I would like to get a professional point of view on race. And, you and I were both saying we need somebody who knows college football, knows what both Jayden Daniels and Caleb Williams looked like in college, is also an NFL coach, a former player, now an NFL analyst for dozens of years at ESPN. Herm Edwards is joining us now on the podcast. Coach, how are you? It's great to see you.
I am well. Thank you for the nice introduction. And I've got something to add to that. My daughter is a freshman at the University of Texas.
What?
Love it.
Horns. Yeah. She's actually she's working for the football program. She's on the sideline doing video stuff for them. She wants to get into our world. I don't know why, but she wants to get into our world.
She's doing video stuff. She probably knows my girlfriend. Then she's the team. My girlfriend's a team photographer for the Texas baseball team, so she helps out at the football stuff all the time. I'll talk to her about that.
She's probably ask her, does she know Gabrielle Edwards?
Okay. Coach, that's amazing. Okay, well, look, you have two mentors for her because Jason just graduated from Texas in May, and he's already working as a sportscaster. I'm in Chicago after being in Bristol, Connecticut, and I've been in Chicago now for almost 30 years. So anytime she needs any kind of mentoring, you've got two people right here.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Because I'm doing this show with my son. And our kids don't always like to get any kind of advice from us, right?
Correct.
Let's talk about, we were just talking about the Rookie of the Year race right now, almost at the halfway point for the NFL season. Here in Chicago, we have seen Caleb Williams ascending after a little bit of a rough couple of first weeks, but that's to be expected. Although maybe not after watching Jayden Daniels in Washington the first half of the season. Not only is he breaking records and setting records and in the front runner for the offensive rookie of the year, but people are talking about him as a potential MVP. This is a guy that you know very well. How do you see these two young rookie quarterbacks?
Well, I think it's good for the league when you have great quarterback play from young players. And Caleb has taken a little while. I think the game has slowed down for Caleb. I think, he was in a situation where you think about his college career. He played on teams that generally he had to score 40 to win. And I think he still had that mindset coming into Chicago, feeling I got to score points. I got to do a lot of things. And he's a guy that obviously can leave the pocket and make the unannounced plays. But in the NFL, even though you're an athletic quarterback, you got to play from the pocket. You got to see the field, right? I think it's slowed down for him a bit now. He's more under control. I think he's learning the game as he goes along. That has helped him tremendously. Jayden, on the other hand, I had Jayden when he was a freshman. And the thing that you noticed about Jayden right away, he doesn't turn the ball over. He just doesn't do it. Now he depends on his legs a lot. I can remember when he was with us. I said, look, you got two reads. You got 1, 2, never get to 3. When you get to 3, run. Just go ahead and run. And just make sure you protect yourself, right? I mean, just make when the journey's over, protect yourself, get down, run out of bounds. So, he's that way. And what he does very well, he throws the deep ball. He's very accurate throwing the deep ball. And obviously, when he was with us at Arizona State, he had two pretty good receivers in Brandon Ayuk and Ricky Pearsall. They were the wideouts, and Rashad White was the running back. So we had a pretty good offense. We could score points. And he's playing marvelously. I mean, people are trying to figure out who is this guy. And I said, well, look, he doesn't like to be really looked at like any other guy because that's just Jayden. When I first got him, I told him, I said, who you remind me of? He said, who, coach? And I said, I'm going to go way back, see if you know this guy. You don't even know this guy. He played with me. His name was Randall Cunningham.
Oh, gosh. Wow.
And basically, he's the same dimension. He's the same height as Randall.
Mm-hmm.
Randall maybe has 5 pounds more than him, but Randall had the same attributes. He could run and he could throw the deep ball. He was very accurate throwing the deep ball. And so Jaden reminded me a lot of Randall when I first got him. You know, I said, he's just like Randall Cunningham, number 12, right? Runs around, makes plays with his legs, very accurate down the field. But I think for both these young men, Caleb and Jaden, their organizations are in good hands. And I think if you're a fan, you've got to be excited about these guys. You know, I'm a big believer in this. Even though I played for Philadelphia, they can say, well, that's your team. Yeah, that's my team. I played for them for 10 years, but I'm a fan of football. And I do know this. When young quarterbacks come in the league, you want them all to be successful, to be quite honest. I do personally, because the game's better. It's just a better game to watch when you have good quarterback play. And I think these quarterbacks now, along with the offensive coordinators coming in the league, have taken a lot of college things and put them in their offense. You know, a lot of quarterbacks fail in the fact that I always tell coaches, look, systems are systems, but the player comes before the system. If your system's not good enough to massage what the player can do, then you got a bad system.
Mm.
And so I think a lot of these coaches now are in the mindset of, hey, look, we got to develop around the quarterback. And you see more runners in the league now, where before it was like, don't get hurt. Hey, don't worry about them getting hurt. They've been running their whole life, right? And they know how to protect themselves for the most part. And it's a wide open game anymore. So I think the quarterback play in the National Football League is going to continue to get better because these young guys throwing the ball early in high school now. I mean, this is a passing world that we live in. And so I think when you have a young quarterback, you know, they're going to make errors. I mean, they're going to throw the ball to the bad guys every once in a while. But at the end, if you coach them, you know, I think that they have a chance to be successful.
That's interesting. I was thinking the exact same thing that you see. Cliff Kingsbury's offense is a very quarterback friendly. But one thing that Shane Waldron has adapted here in Chicago is doing more of the hurry up, more of a no huddle. And Caleb wanted that. Like Caleb, you could see him on the sidelines constantly going like this early on in the season. And it's something that both of these young quarterbacks are doing. They're doing no huddle, hurry up. So you're right that they're both, these offensive coordinators are looking at what is successful for these kids in college that they can actually do in the NFL.
Correct. And I think the next thing we'll see as you know, as we develop with these young quarterbacks and the way you look at the National Football League anymore, because the quarterback makes it 11 on 11, you know, you now you got to, it's 11 on 11 now because they can run. So now we got a problem. It used to be 11 on 10. Quarterback stay in the pocket. You had an extra guy on defense. Now it's 11 on 11 football. And what I see more than anything else is kind of interesting. We talk about it's a quarterback-driven league. It's a passing league. Not so fast. The running back is starting to rear its head again.
Yeah, you're
And
right.
here's the reason why. Because now defenses, when you think about a defense that goes on the field, the linebackers aren't big and big, burly, sluggish guys anymore. They're light guys. You play with anywhere between 5 and 6 defensive backs anymore because of the formations that you create, right? And so now, if you can run the ball, you're running the ball against strong safeties that are playing in the middle of your defense.
Mm-hmm.
So now all of a sudden, the running game's going to pick up again because you have all these light players in the box. Because the big, heavy, burly linebackers, the Dick Butkuses and those kind of guys, they're obsolete. They couldn't play in this world, you know, because it's not a run-driven league anymore. It's a passing league. So now, after first down, you run in 6 defensive backs, sometimes 7.
Yeah,
who you playing.
Absolutely. Hey, and I know Jason's chomping at the bit to ask your question as well, but yeah, it's the whole Brian Urlacher convert a safety into a linebacker, and now you've got the speed, but not to mention, Coach, the running back is this young rookie quarterback's best friend. The running back buys him the time as he gets used to the speed of the game in the NFL.
Yeah, no doubt. And I still think I always truly believe this. You throw to score points, but you got to run to win at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That's a great mentality. I want to ask you a little bit more about Jayden's journey in college. You had Antonio Pierce on staff, current NFL head coach. You're a former NFL head coach. When was the first time, and it might have been even before Jayden was on campus, when you guys were like, okay, like this dude's going to be really good. We have a future NFL quarterback on our hands?
Well, we didn't know about NFL quarterback. We knew he was going to be really good. We watched him in high school, and AP, he had a couple high school teams when he was coaching high school before he came to work for me. We worked together at ESPN. He obviously played for the Giants. I knew him. When I took the job, I needed a guy that was connected in LA to the high school coaches and watch these guys. And so AP was one of those guys. So when we watched Jayden from afar, we said, look, we got to go after this guy. I said, this guy's going to be really good. He's a good player. And lo and behold, obviously, he came in as a freshman. And I've always told coaches this. I said, sometimes we get hung up on names. We get hung up on where they come from. I said, what I learned a long time ago as a coach, if a guy didn't have a jersey number and you identified, I know that guy because I know his number, right? And you just took a bunch of players and you put them on the field and just said, go play. Just let's go watch them play and compete. And you just listen to your eyes, you'd pick the best players. You wouldn't get hung up on the number because the number and the name on the back of the jersey, well, that guy's good because I know who he is. No. Let's just throw him out there and just watch him play. And I've always done that. I just listen to my eyes. I look at it and I go, he's a freshman. I've got a senior quarterback. I got a junior quarterback. And after about a week, I walked in the offensive meeting room and I told him, I said, let me tell you guys something. I said, you guys are worried about getting guys reps. Let me tell you who's going to get the reps now. That freshman guy, that Jayden Fennell, you give him the reps because he's the best player. Well, coach, I said, no. Don't tell me about he's a freshman. I get it. He's the best player. At the end of the day, when I watch tape and I watch him in the practice every day, he is the best player. Now, what he doesn't have any experience. How do you get experience? You play. You got to play. That's the only way you get experience. You don't get experience sitting on the bench, writing notes. I said, you got to go play. And you know who taught me that was Dick Vermeil. When I was a rookie with Dick Vermeil in Philadelphia, I can remember the first week of training camp. This was real training camp. It was 6 weeks. We had 6 preseason games, 14 regular season games. We played double days every day. That was real football. I don't know what they play anymore. They play this other version of football. So he comes up to me the third practice, and I'm a rookie, and I'm stretching, and he gives this big hug around my neck, and he says, you need to call your mom. I looked at him, and I went, oh, am I getting cut? And he says, no. He says, you just need to call your mom. He was really telling me you're going to make the team. And he said, the next thing you need to know is this. You're playing, and you're going to start in every preseason game. I got to get you ready to play, right? So I learned that from him. I was like, Coach was right. I'm a rookie. I'm going to start. Well, the only way to learn how to play is you got to go play. And so in the preseason, I'd start out with the vets, and the vets would leave after the first quarter. And I'd act like I was leaving. He'd look at me and say, no, just stay out there. Just keep playing. Just keep playing. You got to play. And you got to deal with the fact that they're learning on, as they play, and they're going to make mistakes. But eventually they get better. That's how it works. Right? I mean, when your son joins you in the podcast,
yeah.
In the beginning, he was probably, I don't know what question to ask. I ain't quite for sure, and now all of a sudden he's loose. He doesn't matter who's on the podcast. Before he's like, oh, I seen that guy on television. I knew, can I ask him a question? Yeah, you can ask a question. It's okay. Right? Yep. So I just think the more you engage in it, the more you participate in it, the more knowledge you gain and the more confidence you have.
Reps. You're exactly right.
Reps and participation. But another thing that my mom and I talked about before we had you on was the talent that Jayden had surrounding him. I mean, you mentioned it too, Brandon Ayuk and Ricky Pearsall and Rachaad White, all NFL guys. Does it help and does it kind of accelerate that development when you have other top-tier talent around you?
There's no doubt because of the competition. And I think anytime we went out recruiting, our ploy was this. We said, we talked to the parents, and I told the parents this when I recruited a young athlete. I said, look, I can't give your son talent. God gave him talent. I won't allow him to waste it. And I said, I can promise you this. He won't waste his talent. And I said, they'll graduate. They'll graduate. I promise you they'll graduate from here. And now he's got to go compete. And you need to know the best players play. I don't care what year it is. I really don't care. And, a lot of seniors got nervous when I took the job. And I said, look, just because you're a senior, that don't mean you get to play because you're a senior. I said, if the freshman's better than you, guess what? He gonna play. I play the best players. I had a lot of senior parents calling me. In college, you dress like 90-something guys, and you trap. So first thing I did is I'm not dressing all 90. There's too many guys on the sideline. I said, they're just in the way. So the first year, I dressed like 70 guys. I had parents calling me, my son's not on the sideline. No, he ain't gonna play. He's in the way. I said, he's in the way. I said, I'll let them all dress for one game, Arizona game. That's the only game they're all dressing for. Another one, he got to earn a spot to dress. I said, I'm not dressing all these guys. For what? They just stand in the way. They drink all the Gatorade. They're in the way on the sideline. I said, I can't deal with all this. I said, I'm in the NFL. I said, there's 40 guys. That's it.
I love that. I love that. As somebody who saw a lot of people who didn't look like college football players on the sidelines at Texas, I like that mentality. But continuing on really quick, I think we might have unlocked something here. You kind of have this thing at Arizona State, and just as a coach overall, you have to earn your spot. Was it sort of a thing with Jaden, where he had to earn his spot every week and he had to show out and practice and be the best version of himself all the time?
Yeah, and I've always told guys this, and I learned this, it's just being a professional athlete. If you're a rookie and you're competing against a veteran, or if you're a freshman and you're competing against a junior or a senior, I told the junior and the senior, I told them this, to be quite frank, and I learned this from Dick Vermeil. It shouldn't be close. It shouldn't be close. If it's close, I'm playing the freshman. If it's close, I'm playing the freshman because he's going to get better. You done made it close, man. You've been here 3 years. You ain't figured it out yet. He's going to figure it out, and he's going to be better than you. So that was my mantra when I got to college. I said, guys, I understand you're a senior, but don't think because you're a senior, you get to play. If a freshman is close and is close, guys, I'm going to play him. And that was Dick Vermeil. Dick Vermeil said, hey, man, I don't care if you're a rookie. He says, you're going to go play.
There is not that kind.
Mom. I got one more super quick.
Yeah.
One more college question for you.
Sure.
Jayden obviously transferred from Arizona State to LSU. Big college football fans like me. Honestly, people who watch college football knew who he was since he was a freshman. But then he transfers to LSU. He becomes a national superstar, wins the Heisman Trophy. What did you see him do differently, if anything, at LSU that has turned him into who he is now?
Nothing. The stage was bigger. He got better as he progressed during the year. I talked to Jayden every week before he played game. I still talk to him. And, when those kids transferred, there was a bunch of them that transferred. They walked to my office. I gave them a hug and said, yeah, you got to go. I understand. With the money they paying guys, I said, you got to go. I said, it's not personal. I'm good. Because, look, I wasn't in that job forever anyway. I wasn't going to be there for 20 years, 10 years. I took the job because the AD was my agent. That's the only reason I took the job. He wanted me to kind of turn the program around and, and kind of get the program up, and going and get it some excitement, right? So when I took the job, I thought, Herm Edwards is coming back. Okay, what is he going to do? He hadn't coached in a while, and sure enough, we went out and recruited some players, and we're pretty good. We had a lot of fun. We're pretty good. And I enjoyed it. I really did. I enjoyed, mentoring young men for the most part. But no, I mean, when those guys came in, I gave all those guys hugs, man. I said, you gotta do what you gotta do, guys. I understand. And I don't want to be in this world. It's a different world. And you're not going to change it. The genie's out of the bottle. I get it, but I don't want to be in that world. I'm the old guy. I'm the old man on the porch, right? I don't want to be in that world. And I get it. I get what's happening. I understand it, but I don't want to be a part of that one. I'm good. That's why I went back to TV. So I go back to TV. I'm good.
Speaking of the old guys, one of the things that's interesting that we're seeing in the NFL right now, Coach, is so many young quarterbacks. And, people were saying, but they're all struggling. They're all struggling. Well, that's because they're all playing right away.
Correct.
And who are the guys that are starting to play fairly well? The 5 and 6 year veterans who did not play well early in their careers, and now they have all those reps, and now they, you might see a Jason Goff on another team.
Yep.
It's amazing to see what is going on in the NFL right now with quarterbacks that everyone thought was washed up. I mean, look at Marcus Mariota a week ago.
Sure.
He looked fantastic. He did so well. The reps are so important, and yet you still have to play as a rookie, these guys. And so it's a very up and down thing that we're seeing. The results are very up and down.
They are. And I always go back to most of them fail before they succeed. And when you think about Peyton Manning, right, threw 28 interceptions. Troy Aikman won one game. I mean, and they're Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Now, I think you have to understand that you have the patience and the wherewithal to say, you know what, we're going to play a young guy. He's going to throw it to the bad guys. He's going to make mistakes. We got to live through it. And hopefully your organization is strong enough to deal with that. And if it is, you get through it. And like you say, some of these guys, look, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield. I mean, they went to Geno Smith. We could name them. And they got beat up. And they've been given an opportunity sometimes, some second, third team sometimes.
Right.
And it just fit. Cliff Kingsbury played for me when I was the Jets head coach. So I know Cliff. He was in Arizona when I was at Arizona State. He had Murray, who's similar to Jaden in the fact he can run around. So when Cliff went to Washington and they got Jaden, I said, it's a perfect match for Cliff. Because he gets it. He knows who Jaden is. He watched him in college. So Jaden couldn't have been to a better place, and Cliff couldn't have landed in a better spot.
Well, that's interesting because a lot of people wondered about Cliff Kingsbury, his interview here in Chicago, which he didn't want to comment on this week. And people, it brings me to this question. Matt Eberflus versus Cliff Kingsbury's offense coming up in this game. The offensive coordinators are all the rage, Coach. I mean,
Sure.
they get all the glory. You know this as well as I do. And as a defensive player, you get it. The defensive coaches do not get all the glory. And Matt Eberflus really doesn't get a whole lot of respect outside of Chicago. And even in Chicago, people still aren't sure. Why do you think that is?
Well, Chicago's hard, first of all. It's got tradition. And regardless of who your quarterback is in Chicago, it's like in Philadelphia, you better play defense. That's what people expect. When you say the Chicago Bears, you go, okay. 2 chin strap game, get ready, because they're going to play defense. And that's what the fans expect. Now, as far as quarterback play, you live in an area, in a climate to where a couple things have to happen. First of all, you got to be able to run football in Chicago, especially after November hits, because they play outside last time I checked. The Minnesota Vikings got scared and built the dome for those guys, but they used to be the Purple People Eaters, and they used to play outside. I remember those guys. Green Bay will always play outside. So there's a couple factors in that, and people sometimes forget about that. It's easy to throw it in September and October, but at the end of November and December, and you're heading to January, well, not so much, right? And so all these things come into play. So I think, you have certain fan bases that believe in things, and it's a world that we live in that everyone has an opinion, and everybody has a forum now. Everybody has a phone. Everybody has clicks. And so everybody's a coach, and everybody knows your job better than you. Problem is, they're not there. From the outside of the building, they know what you're supposed to do. That's why they're fans, for the most part. And we love fans. We do. Because our fans, the game's no fun. And they're entitled to their opinions, but I've always said this: don't listen to the people outside the building. Because if you do, you'll be standing out there with them. And so when you're the coach, I mean, look, that's just part of the terrain, that you have to deal with. You don't listen to it. You can't listen to it because it'll drive you crazy. And there's a million talk shows. I mean, can you imagine all the talk shows anymore and all the people on? I mean, it's ridiculous. It's just crazy. right? I mean, I never listened to it. I just don't. Even like when I'm on television now, I do what deal, and that's it. I walk away. I don't worry about it because you can't take it back. What I said, I said. I think about what I'm going to say, and then I say it. And you know what? If you don't like it, I really don't care. It's my opinion. I got to tell, and I do research, and I give you the best opinion I can. I might not agree with you. You might not agree with me. That's okay. But at the end, here's the whole key with coaching. It's the locker room. It's the players. It's the play. At the end of the day, it's the players. Mm. And when you walk in front of those players, you better have a message. Your job is to protect the players. You always protect the players. You protect them. And you're the head coach. You get the blame. You take it. It's part of the, you put your hat on, you say, hey, man, it's on me. It's on me. And you got to understand that. And a lot of the stuff's not on you, but you're going to take it. Mm. Once you earn the look, in life, people respect your title, right? They respect your title, but you got to earn their trust. And you have to earn the players' trust in the locker room. And when it's hard, they watch you as a coach. They watch you. They watch what you do. Do you start changing things? Do you panic? They watch you. Players figure it out. And if you're one of those coaches where you know you're even keeled, and when it's time to get them, you get them. And when it's time to hug them, you hug them. They respect you for that. And when they respect you, they'll play for you. They'll play for you, right? I mean, look, I sat in that seat many a time. And the second year when we were in New York, like they're talking about the Jets now, they're 2-5. They said they're done. I said, oh, stop. My second year with New York, my first year we go to the playoffs. Second year, we're 2-5. We're staring 2-5 in the face. We end up winning the division. Because the players, I didn't throw the players under the bus. I just said, I kept telling them all week, I said, boys, we just got to win one game. Let's just go win one. Let's just go feel what it feels like to win a football game again. And we won one. And then all of a sudden we won 2. Then all of a sudden we won 3. And all of a sudden it was like, uh-oh, airplane's flying again. The Jets are on the move. We hit some turbulence. How do you react when the turbulence hits? That's what the players want to see. Because they're looking at the head coach. And they're going, what is the head coach going to throw me under the bus? You going to blame it on me? Nah. You got to fix it. You're the head coach. That's what they pay you for. You fix it.
That's a great point because the Bears went through a lot of turbulence early last year and they were able, Matt Eberflus was able to right the ship. Well, Coach, this has been so much fun. And before I let you go, you said that you're still close with Cliff Kingsbury. Yeah. You still talk to Jayden Daniels every day. So is he playing on Sunday?
Who?
Jayden?
No.
Yeah, we figured. Once you say week to week, we figured he's out.
Nah, he ain't gonna go. I don't think he's going. I don't think he's going. So that's too bad because everyone was excited about this game. I think, it would have been a heck of a game watching 2 really young quarterbacks and really the franchise players for your organizations to play. But yeah, they'll see each other again down the road.
Definitely.
That's what I said. I said, hopefully this is a game that'll be prime time for the next 3-5 years.
That's exactly right. You never know if they just keep going the way they're going. Look, that NFC North that they're in, what you got 19-7. The best division in football right now. Who would have thunk it? Right? Best division. And think about the quarterbacks. You got Caleb Williams, a rookie. You got Darnold, Minnesota, right? I mean, to get it, Green Bay, we get it in Green Bay, right? So you look at that division and you go, hey, this is okay. In Detroit, Jared Goff a castaway.
Yep.
So it's kind of interesting, right?
Yep.
It really is.
Yep. Jared Goff, Jordan Love, who had the luxury of sitting behind a Hall of Famer. And it's going to be fun. It's always fun catching up with you, Coach. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you both. And your son's doing a great job.
Yes, Coach Herm Edwards, man, Jason, you get him going and he's always got something to say, but he made some really good points.
You sure did, Mom. And it's always super cool. That reminded me a lot of our Chris Berman talk a couple of years ago.
Right.
Where it's a guy who I grew up on ESPN. And then, I did get to watch Herm Edwards coach at Arizona State. And I forgot the amount of NFL guys that they had. I forgot that Ricky Pearsall, who ended up going in the first round this year, was an Arizona State guy before he transferred. Rashad White, former Arizona State
Yeah.
guy. I mean, these are good NFL players, so always great catching up with somebody as wise as Herm Edwards.
And his daughter is at UT Austin, a part of the football program just where you just came out of. So it's so crazy. All right, let's get to some quick predictions if you have some.
Yeah, so these are going to be pretty rapid fire today, Mom. My first prediction, we got college basketball coming up. I am obviously super excited about it. I know that in my last prediction segment, I said that Iowa State is going to win the national championship. Don't worry, I am not backing down off of that. But for our audience who isn't as college basketball centered as I am, I need to predict that Cooper Flagg is going to win National Player of the Year. The Duke freshman is the next big thing in basketball. He is a 6'9" do-it-all. You can't really put him at a position because he can guard 1 through 5 and play 1 through 5. That's my National Player of the Year pick. He is incredible. I want to get that out there right now before he steps on the court and everyone acts like they're, his biggest fan. So that's my first prediction.
I love it. Number 2.
Number 2, I think that Minnesota is starting to falter a little bit. Last night, they didn't look so great against the Rams. We're kind of seeing the same story out of the Vikings in recent weeks. They start out really hot. They have their first quarter scripted. Okay, it's great. And then things fall apart in the second half. I do not think that this Vikings team is a threat to win the division. I'm just going to get it out there right now. I know that they started out 5-0. Now they're 5-2. They're tied for first. I think that their taste of first place is over. They're not going to feel that again this year. Give me a 2-team race between the Bears and the Lions. I give the edge to the Lions, but I really do think that I saw something in the Vikings last night and last week that scared the hell out of me, and they're out of the division race in my mind for right now.
Your third and final prediction?
Whew, my third and final prediction. We have to make another Bulls prediction, don't we? I mean, the lovable losers of Chicago now. I mean, that's what we always called the Cubs, and that's been the Bulls in my childhood. So I'm going to have to say this is Billy Donovan's last year in Chicago. I don't know what they're building. They don't really play the young guys. Like, I thought that was supposed to be the silver lining to Billy Donovan, is that, like, he'll play the young guys, but Modest Buzelis played like 2 minutes on opening night. And I don't like what I see out of Dalen Terry. Ayo Dosunmu looks good. Patrick Williams, I have been a critic, not a fan of. I think that they've swung and missed a lot with this regime between the new GM and vice president and, of course, Billy Donovan. I think he's a good basketball coach. I don't think he's a good NBA coach. So I think the Bulls will have a new guy in the sidelines next year.
All right. Well, we want to thank our guest today, Coach Herm Edwards, NFL and college football analyst for ESPN. Thank you to Lily Bloom for helping us set up that interview with Coach. Always fun, always brings so much energy to his thoughts. Our thanks also to our producer, Jack McGrath at ESPN Chicago. That's where you can get the audio version of this podcast on the ESPN Chicago app. And don't forget to tune into the ESPN Chicago app, and you can not only listen to Chicago Bears games, but you get our pregame show, the Bears game itself with the call of the game, and then the postgame show, which I host along with Yurko immediately following. All of that on the Chicago Bears radio network is available on the ESPN Chicago app. And Jason, if people like this episode, what could they do?
You can like, rate, and subscribe anywhere that you listen to us, anywhere that you get your audio. As Shay walks in the background for like the 5th time this episode. I'm sorry, I can't stop noticing that. It's hilarious. Sorry, that threw me off. If you like our show, you can like, rate, and subscribe wherever you're listening right now. If you can like, rate, and subscribe on that app or website, it definitely helps us. YouTube is the best way for video. For audio, the ESPN Chicago app. And if you like our work, you can follow us on Twitter. My mom changes her Twitter handle like every 6 weeks, so it's either ESPN Peggy or Peggy Kaczynski now. Mine is at Jason Conander. And to follow more of my work, you can follow along on Twitter. I've got some cool stuff going on at the Field 68 this year, but excited for this Bears game this weekend, Mom. This should be a real test for them, and to see them play on national television, that CBS 3 p.m. slot is going to be special.
And don't forget, you can follow us on X at TSAHS Pod, the Sportscaster and Her Son Pod. And on YouTube, if you're listening to us as well, you can always watch the video version on our YouTube page as well. That's it for this episode. Thank you all for joining us. Jason, great job. Thank you to Herm Edwards. Make it a great week. Okay, buddy?
You too, Mom. Talk to you soon.
Okay.